academic reading and writing. In today's session, I'll be discussing 4 levels of reading. As I guided you in my introduction to the course that there are 2 major components of this course, reading skills and writing skills. And the objective of the course is to enhance both of these in order to make you a mature reader who is able to express his ideas with maturity. So today's discussion will help you how important a role reading plays in in improving our understanding and increasing our knowledge. So the topic for today's discussion is 4 levels of reading, which are elementary reading, inspectional reading, analytical reading, and synoptical reading. So let's go through them one by one, talking about what each of them means and what role each of them plays when we are doing this reading. First of all, the point that you should understand here is I have chosen the word levels in my topic, levels of reading, and not kinds of reading. So here you need to understand the difference between levels and kinds. Kinds can be distinct from one another. They can have very different characteristics, although they fall under the same category. On the other hand, levels denote a notion of embeddedness with lower levels included in higher ones. Simply speaking, when we use the word level, it means the higher level actually includes what the lower level consists of. So these 4 levels are actually similar to stairs. So you have to move through the first level in order to reach the second one, and then to the third one, and then to the fourth. So this is how you actually move from 1 to 4th. And that is why I have used the word levels, because if you achieve level 4, it means you have already gained mastery over the first 3 levels. So the first level in our 4 levels of reading is elementary reading. It is also called initial reading or rudimentary reading. Now, elementary reading answers the question, what does the sentence say? So here, this is a very basic level of reading in which we try to understand what the sentence means, what a statement means. So first of all, we are trying to understand the meaning of the speaker, the meaning of the text, the meaning that is embodied in the story. Here we are not trying to make connections between different parts of the story, or trying to understand its symbolic aspect, how the writer or the speaker has used different symbols and what they signify. At this point, our objective is to simply understand the meaning of the speaker. So this is what elementary reading is all about. The second level of reading is inspectional reading. Now, inspectional reading means intelligently skimming a book in a limited amount of time. Here, the point that needs to be emphasized is that these four levels of reading have their own function. Every time you do not go for the same level of reading. So, if we talk about the second level of reading, that is inspectional reading, here the reader does not have a lot of time to read the book thoroughly from page 1 to last. The time that he has is very limited, and in this limited time he has to make sense of a book, a piece of writing. So what he does is he goes through the book and tries to make out of it as much as he can. But remember, this inspectional reading is not casual or random browsing through a book, just flipping through the pages. It's not like that. Rather, the reader has a very serious objective that he wants to achieve in a limited amount of time, and the objective is to develop overall understanding of the subject matter, what the book is all about, and then the structure of the book, how the book has been organized, how it has been structured, how many parts it has. So through this reading, he actually tries to develop a superficial knowledge of the book. And to make inspectional reading successful and useful, what you can do as a reader is look at the title of the book, because the titles are very advisedly and carefully chosen to represent the subject matter that the book addresses. So these titles are not taken randomly. The writer makes a conscious choice, thinking deeply about what title will actually express the core idea of his work better, helping the potential reader to understand how this book will be of interest to him. So if you look at the title, there will be some clue for you in the title itself. It will indicate what subject matter the book covers. Similarly, in order to develop more information about the book, you can go through the preface, because these initial you can say parts of the book are very brief and precise, in which the writer gives you a lot of information as if introducing the book itself. If the book does not have preface, it might have an introduction. Similarly, in research writings, in research articles, theses and dissertations, the researcher adds an abstract. In simple words, an abstract is a precise summary of the key components of the research work. So it gives you an idea about the main point that the article talks about or the book addresses, the kind of approach that the writer has used, and some of its findings. But an abstract does not provide detailed, comprehensive information about the book. It simply somehow arouses your interest. It tells you if that piece of writing is relevant to your area of interest or not. So this abstract actually helps you a lot in order to determine if you should actually read the work completely. Similarly, you can look at the table of contents, how different chapters have been arranged, and what are the sections and subsections and points which the writer has mentioned as headings. So this will again give you a better idea into the subject matter and different aspects of the topic which have been covered by the writer. Similarly, you can look at the cover page of the book, or sometimes at its back, the publisher's blurb. It is a very brief writing given by the publisher talking about the writer and his work. So again, all these different things help you develop a superficial understanding of the book. And again, let me emphasize that this is just due to the fact that the reader does not have enough time to read the book thoroughly. And always remember that inspectional reading has a temporary purpose to achieve. It can never replace a full-length reading, because as I'm going to discuss it in the upcoming discussion, a full inspectional reading is quite different from a full-length analytical reading, in which the reader spends a lot of time reading the text, making notes, trying to make connections between different parts of the book, and then he is in a position to analyze the book and build his own opinion on it as a critic. So this is what inspectional reading is. So if you are to conduct inspectional reading of a piece of writing, the questions which you should be considering are: what kind of book is it? Now these questions are for your own guidance. I mean, if you find answers to these questions, you can be satisfied that you have gained some knowledge about the book. So first of all, try to ask yourself about the book. What kind of book is it? A novel? A history book? A scientific treatise? So first of all, you need to determine the kind of book you are reading. And then, what is the structure of the book? How the book has been divided into different parts, and how it contains different sections, and how these parts and sections actually correlate. So this is briefly about inspectional reading. Let's move on to analytical reading. The third level of reading is analytical reading. Now, analytical reading aims at developing deep, insightful comprehension of the book, and this is what we can call thorough reading. Now, if you look at the objective of this reading, it is quite in contrast to inspectional reading, which we have just discussed. Inspectional reading aims to develop superficial knowledge of the book, to develop a rough idea about the subject matter, the structure, and other things. But analytical reading, the aim is different. here the objective is to develop very sound knowledge and understanding of the book, because the purpose here is not to simply understand what the book uh, discusses. Rather, after analytical reading, the reader is in a position to express his own views on the book and the way the writer has discussed the subject matter. And this type of reading is what actually is expected of a mature reader, a reader who is not simply reading for developing superficial knowledge. Rather, his aim is to read it very carefully, painstakingly, and then be comfortable with it. So for analytical reading, you should be considering again what kind of book is it, what is the nature of the book, what is the the content of the book, what methods have what methods the writer has employed and used, and then what the book is about, what is its theme or main point. So again, you can see, as I explained in the very beginning of this discussion, that these are levels in which the higher level includes what the lower level consists of. So again, since analytical reading is a higher level, if you try to understand how these levels actually are, so elementary reading is the very first and basic level, and then we move on to inspectional reading, and then analytical reading, and afterwards the fourth and final and the most challenging level of reading is synoptical reading. So here the aim of reading is different. So the reader tries to grasp the structure and plan of the work. You can develop this understanding through writer's introduction, whether this work is like a heap of bricks or a house constituted by those bricks. So the bricks are the same, but when they are arranged in a certain manner, they turn into a house. Similar is the case with a book. Sometimes the reader, a mature reader, is not satisfied with the structure of the book because he believes that the writer has discussed the subject matter very randomly. This discussion could have been well organized, better organized. And when you read about the structure, it simply does not mean to see how different parts of the book are organized. Rather, at the same time, even how different ideas within the same paragraph or within the same chapter have been discussed. I hope that you are familiar with paragraph writing and essay writing, in which we talk about how a paragraph is actually a mini essay because it has the same structure like an essay. It starts with a topic sentence followed by supporting details and ends with a concluding statement. So similarly, good writers, mature writers, consciously take care of the logical transition from one idea to another. So their paragraphs are actually well linked. They are not simply moving from one idea to another randomly. Rather, they have a plan in mind, and this plan is visible. It seems at work when we look at the structure of the book. So when we analyze the structure, we should notice how the book is not merely one but many. What it means is we should try to analyze how organically the parts of the book or the whole are related, how these different parts go together, how they complement each other, how the every coming chapter builds on what the writer has discussed in the previous one. So it actually moves from point A to B to C to D. This is how a logical, well organized piece of writing, especially prose, is supposed to look like. And here I'm not talking about experimental writing. This is how we talk about the structure of essays. So we look at the major parts of the book and notice how these are organized into a whole. So they are actually connected to each other, and this connection between them develops unity of the whole. So although the book has many parts, many chapters, but still at the same time, due to being strongly connected with each other, they form a coherent whole. So this is, the purpose of analytical reading, to develop deep, insightful understanding of the subject matter. So this is it for this discussion. I'll continue with the fourth level of reading, because that is the most complex and most challenging one among these four. So I'll address that in my next discussion. Thank you.